Hey, welcome to episode 74. That's a pretty good number, I might add. Of Scar Bears, I'm Chris DT Gordon. It is fantastic to have you here with me today. And as always, I have Nate and Britton Barron with me in a technological sense, helping me with post production and the theme music. If you want them to work their magic on your production, please reach out to them at Nate Barron. Well, folks, school's in full swing now, and we know our students are resilient, but sometimes they need some help getting out of those or getting over those harder obstacles, those life-changing events, or those events that might seem life-changing. If my message of the attitude of gratitude or tag can help you out with that, please let me know. You can find me at chrisdtgordon.com or reach out to me at chrisdtgordon.com. And there's also the at chrisdtgordon. There's a lot of Chris DT Gordons we're throwing around today. Well, first of all, folks, I want to give a care and tech issue warning. The contents of this interview are going to involve very delicate situations, including sexual abuse and trauma. And we seem to have some freezing screens. So if we're able to make this work for the YouTube video, I do apologize. We're going to do the best that we can. And if this is only for the audio, well, then just ignore what I just said. All right, today I'm joined by my friend and fellow speaker, Jane Epstein. Jane, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Yeah, you just were automatically animated when I let you talk. And that's probably it. You're frozen because I'm using all the oxygen. So maybe I'll just have to let you tell your story. But first of all, I want to just let everyone know that how you and I met. It was through the Voices for College Masterclass, where we, over this past summer, we learned from Dan Fail and Jessica Williams about how to be a better college speaker. What are one or two things that you took away from that masterclass, Jane?
Wow. First of all, I think that Dan and Jess are incredibly generous.
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody has a story, and that we can use that story to talk to other people, and that college students, they can learn from us because we are older and we are wiser. We have been through a lot. And I just had never thought about talking to college students about my story, but they were so supportive and so kind of opened my eyes that maybe that's a possibility in the future.
Yeah, a lot of people pigeonhole themselves because they feel that my story is for X audience and it may not work. But yeah, Dan and Jess are masters at what they do and helping us craft our messages for the college audience, which, spoiler alert, is not like the high school audience.
Really? I'd love to hear the differences.
Well, just because college students think of themselves as adults. And, I remember Dan saying that outright one time to me. It's like, they're not high school students and they will take offense to that. In so many words, he said that. But you want to make sure that you know your audience, and they do a fantastic job of helping us do that.
Yes, they do. Absolutely.
Yeah. And as speakers, you and I both take our mess and turn it into our message. However, our messes are quite different. And the audience usually, I'm guessing they've been with me for a little while. They know of mine, but they need to know yours. So will you please take us through that?
Sure. I will say that I have listened to your mess, and I found it very relatable in that we were able to find some joy after what we've gone through, and that there is a grief process and how we can appreciate the small things. And I found you very relatable. So I appreciate you sharing your story as well.
Well, thank you.
I will start my story. I'm going to give you the short version. And my life really happened out of order. So I had to figure it out when I was about 45 years old. When I was 45, I had been struggling with depression. And I found myself literally sitting at the bottom of the staircase, holding my 8-year-old son's hand and thinking, I just want to die. I really want out of this life. And I had been working so hard to get out of the depression and figure out what was going on. And I was tired. But I looked at him and I knew that I couldn't do that to him. So that's when I decided to quit drinking. And I started with some self reflection and I started writing my story down. And once I started writing my story down, then it made sense to me. And this is how my story started. When I was 6 years old, my older sibling was curious about sexuality and he didn't have a place to go with his questions. And this is very common. He came to me, a younger sibling, a younger child. I was available, I seemed safe. And it started with curiosity, and he started sexually abusing me. Now, I was 6 at the time. I didn't understand. I couldn't process it. I thought, okay, something is happening. Something may not be right, but I don't know what. He wasn't threatening me. He wasn't hurting me. The sexual abuse went on for about 6 years until I was 12. And throughout that process, my body started responding the way my body's designed to respond. And the touch felt good and the attention felt good. So I felt in my trauma brain, I told myself that I was a willing participant. Fast forward, when he left for college, I was age 12. The best way I can describe it is when he left, I had been awakened to sexual feelings that a 6-year-old should not know and a 12-year-old should not know. And I started seeking out those sexual feelings. I started seeking out male attention. I needed it feel like I was a human, to feel like I was worthy. And that just kind of continued me into a spiral of anger and depression and shame and promiscuity. The promiscuity took me down a path of I became a stripper. And stripping actually created a moment of power for me. I found my power back and I felt pretty. Men were giving me money. They were talking to me. And through stripping, I met my first husband. I had noticed him in the club and he'd come in and he'd tip me and he would leave. Then one evening, he came up and he tipped me and he said, "You look like the kind of girl I could take home to my mom. What are you doing here?" And that was my opening. I said, "You always tip me and then you leave." And he said, "Okay, I'll stay. I'll stay." So I remember finishing my set and I raced in the back and I freshened up my makeup, put a breath mint in, changed clothes, and I raced out to greet him. And he was sitting at the bar drinking his usual drink. And in that moment, I crawled up onto the bar stool next to him and I knew I was going to marry this person.
Hmm.
And so those people who have had love at first sight experiences, I had one of those love at first sight experiences. And we did have love and we did get engaged and we got married. And there's a lot more and we can delve into all this. And throughout our marriage, I had stuffed the childhood sexual abuse away. I knew it was there. It would nag at me, but I had put it away. Didn't talk about it. And so we got married and then I started pushing him away. I started trying to sabotage the marriage, not understanding why. But it didn't matter because he was diagnosed with esophageal cancer and he was terminal.
Mm.
And this is where I kind of share your story when I heard your story, because when he was diagnosed with cancer, I was immediately awakened because I'd spent so many years numb in pain that I didn't have any feeling. But when he was diagnosed and when he passed, it's like my heart was ripped wide open and I was forced to feel, and I felt joy. There can be joy inside of grief. And that's where I learned my lessons of not sweating the small stuff, the lessons of gratitude, to be grateful for green grass, rainy days, sunny days, sand, snow. And when someone cuts you off in traffic, I thought, oh, I can let that one go. So that was a really beautiful gift that his death gave me. And it also taught me how to let people into my heart, really let them in. And I was able to get married, remarried, and we had 2 beautiful children. But that's when the triggers came back. That's when the memories came back. And I didn't understand it because I was depressed. And I thought, I'm depressed because my marriage isn't perfect. I'm depressed because we have 2 toddlers and it's exhausting. I'm depressed because I still miss my late husband. I thought it was sexual abuse. No, that couldn't be it because that wasn't a big deal. That was just 2 kids being curious. So that's my story in a small in the small scope of the smaller story.
Yes, there's so many layers to it though. I know you said it's, there's the short version, but I do want to go back a little bit. So, and I have to get this out of my head. Your first husband is probably the only guy on earth who can say that the stripper really likes him.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, so guys don't take that as an okay sign. It happened before. It happened before. It's not going to happen again. But what was it that drew you to him? Because that, like I said, it's that is an odd place to find the love of your life.
Yes, it is. The second love, the first love of my life. I've got the second one downstairs.
Yes.
So I will say that you are absolutely correct. As a stripper, I don't see the guy. I would only see the dollar bills. How much money can I get out of this guy? That's the truth, guys. Sorry, it is a business. I'm very spiritual, and I truly believe that God put Mark in my life for those exact reasons. Mark took me off the stage. He taught me how to dress. He got me back into college, taught me how to cook, taught me how to converse with people. And then he gave me the beautiful gift of finding myself through his death. Now, I'm not grateful for his death. I'm not grateful for that experience, but I'm grateful for what I've been able to learn from that experience and take from that experience. So I'm very mindful of that, because someone who's in the thick of grief, they're going to say, how can I be thankful for the loss of the love of my life? It's what I learned from it. So I think for me personally, I think that it was a God thing.
Okay. Yeah. And I am on the same wavelength as you, in that I don't ever, I could have wished for flesh eating bacteria. No one wants that. I mean, I joke and say, hey, this is the best origin story a comic book fan could ever ask for. No, please don't, please don't think that I'm serious about that. That said, it's given me so many things because of the fact that I've A, survived it, and B,
Yes.
the lessons I've learned from it.
Yes. And what you're able to do with it now is amazing. I love your tag. I love your vision, your positivity and your story. It's amazing. I mean, once I listened to your whole story, I was like, wow, there's so much more there than I realized.
Again, thank you very much. You're very generous, Jane.
Well, you're a runner after everything you've been through.
Yeah, exactly. So when, what's your present, your second husband's name?
Steve. His name is Steve.
Okay. So when you were starting to feel those feelings of those negative feelings when you were with Steve, I guess, was there a part of you that was, not hating yourself, but was angry at yourself for doing that?
For doing?
For feeling those feelings that that you were feeling with Steve. You said correct me if I'm wrong, you said you were feeling not neglected, but you had those feelings of depression.
Right. I think that there was some, because I thought, what is wrong with me? I'm a stay-at-home mom. I live in a nice suburban area. I'm married. I've got 2 great kids. What is wrong with me? Why can't I be thankful? And I really was projecting a lot of anger onto him, and I was blaming my depression on him, when in reality, because I had so much shame and so much hidden inside of me that I hadn't shared with him, he had no idea about the sexual abuse, that I wasn't known. And that's why I was so depressed, because once I started sharing my story with him and taking those layers off, and I became known and accepted for who I am and for what I've been through, that's when the healing really started happening.
It's interesting you use the phrase known, when you refer to talking about your past. And I think that's very illuminating, because we are, we're basically shells of, consciousness, but you can't see past the outer layer.
Right.
And so you never know what exactly someone is going through unless they share it with you. And so I think it's very beautiful. You said that you made yourself known to him.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
feel,
There. Yeah. And I recommend that because we carry so much inside of us. I was on lockdown, and that's exhausting. And he would say things to me and I would say, "You have no idea." And he would say, "You're right. I don't have any idea," you know? And I could write my story down, but I couldn't talk about it. So I would write some things down for him and I would say, "Okay, warning, warning." Yeah.
so yeah, let's talk about that writing to talking. Again, what time, when did you start writing your story out or journaling?
Sure. I started writing when I was about 45, 46 years old. And that's really when I started writing from start to finish. I'm still finishing. I'm not finished. I'm still here, right?
Mhm.
When I started writing, I thought, oh, my life is like a Rubik's Cube. It really happened out of order. And when I could put it back in order, I thought, no wonder, because I shouldn't have been so hypersexual. I shouldn't have been a widow at age 34. And I started looking into the science of it, and they say writing it down really, really helps purge it. It really does. It's hard, it's painful. And sometimes you can go back and you can read it and think, oh my gosh, did I write that? Did I really live that? But I think it's very healing, and I do encourage it.
So you said the science of it. Do you mean the science of journaling?
Yes, I've gone back and I've researched that. Oh, there's actually a science to it. It actually does work. It's actually healing.
Mhm. And so now do you have like a diary where you write, "Dear diary, today I I burned those, I did something, and then this weird guy had me on this show." Or is it, I guess, is it because I want people to understand that when when journaling is not always has to be dear diary, but
Right.
how would you journal?
Here's the honest truth. There, where I have the most success, they say it's best to take your hand, a pen, and journal it down. But I have terrible handwriting and I have a short attention span.
Mhm.
And there's so much in my head and it wants to come out so fast, I can't get it down on paper. Where I've had the most success, in all honesty, is I open my laptop, I open up a document, I close my eyes, and I just type. I just type. And if you're right, and if I'm having a tough time starting, I'll just say blah, 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 blah. I'm supposed to be writing. And sometimes it takes 3 to 5 minutes to get in there. And if I'm honest, I've been kind of crazy busy for the last 6 weeks, and I haven't journaled in about 6 weeks.
Hmm. But that doesn't mean that, I mean, because you haven't journaled in 6 weeks, is that because you're just busy or things have been going pretty well?
I would say both. It's a great question, Chris, because honestly, I've been doing several interviews and maybe I'm journaling that way, getting it out that way.
Mhm. And yeah, that actually takes me to my next question was, we said that we were both students of the Voices for College master's class. Where did you find that shift from just writing it down to speaking about it?
I think because I've been speaking about it for a while, in that if I go back, I started writing my book and I started working on a children's book, and then someone was interested in my story and I started sharing my story with them. And so I've been speaking it for a little while now. And I think the college class where that really had to focus me was, I have a story, but how can I help others through that story? And I think that's where I was able to tie in the grief of sexual abuse, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. And so if we go to the present now, what are you doing with your story? I know as of this recording, yesterday you did your first live interview,
Yes.
which I must congratulate you for. Those are not easy,
Thank you.
especially your first one. So besides doing interviews, like for me, what else are you doing to share your message?
I am writing my memoir, and that's been very healing. And I've heard that I have an interesting story and that hopefully it will help others. And I'm really focusing on advocacy. I am an advocate. Number one, I'm an advocate. So I'm a moderator of a Facebook group for survivors, and we get message requests all the time. We get membership requests all the time, and we have to sort through those and see who's going to be a good member and who's not. And if not, where can we send them? I get parents requesting all the time.
Hmm.
So I'm able to say, hey, this isn't a good fit for you, but here are some groups for you, and here are some resources for you. And I'm bringing about awareness about sibling sexual abuse and child with child sexual abuse because I can, because I'm healthy, because my husband's supportive, because I've been able to forgive my brother, which I don't preach to everybody. You have to forgive. Everybody has their own journey. So that's what I'm really focusing on is my advocacy. And I think that that's the gift that I've been given as well, to be able to do that and to be able to give back.
I applaud you, Jane, not only for your bravery and your fortitude to share your story, but also to step up for others.
I appreciate that. And I'll be honest with you, when I started coming forward, I thought my story could be about grief because I'd lost my first husband, and I know grief very well, and we all experience grief. And I kept getting this tugging that said, no, nope, that's not your thing. And I said, that can be my thing. And then I thought, okay, fine, I'll start talking about sexual abuse. And then I kept getting that tugging, nope, nope, it's got to go deeper than that. It's got to be sibling sexual abuse. And I remember thinking, oh, no, that can't be it. That's just no way. And I started Googling sibling sexual abuse, and I thought, well, nobody's talking about this. And I thought, well, why do I have to be the one? And I just kept getting that tug. And anytime I want to stop, it's right when I start getting another message or I come in contact with someone else that, no, this is what I need to do. And in the beginning, I could barely say sibling sexual abuse. I could barely say the words molested. And now they roll off the tongue quite easily. And I have to remember that I'm okay talking about it, but society isn't all quite ready for it.
Yes, but I think that we've learned in many ways and in many instances that society may not be ready for it, but it needs to be.
Yeah. Unfortunately, 40% of sexual abuse is child with child and sibling sexual abuse. So it's a big number. But there's a
Yes.
lot of shame involved with it. And I was talking to someone today, and as a parent, when I look at my kids, if I think about them getting cancer or brain cancer, because I know friends who have gone through that, I can't wrap my head around it. I can't go there. And I think it's similar to sibling sexual abuse. As a parent, you look at your children, you think, I can't go there. I can't imagine that happening in my home. So it's tough, but I won't stop.
And so we talked about how you were an advocate for people. How can people find you? How can they reach out to you?
Absolutely. I would love for people to find me because I've got groups, I've got resources, and I want you to know you're not alone. My website is complicatedcourage.com. And then Instagram is Jane_complicatedcourage. I'm very open. Reach out to me if you need resources or books. I'm a book, well, you can tell I'm a book addict. So I've got lots of resources, and I'm a member of a group that has 1,400 advocates. So if I don't have it, I can ask them and we can find it.
That's awesome. And we'll definitely put that information in the show notes. Anything coming up for you in the near future that you're excited about?
Kids are going back to school in person.
Yes,
It's a little nerve wracking. They're not
Yeah.
psyched about wearing masks all day long, but I think just getting back into that routine, and seeing other people, that will be good for them because we live in California. So they've been home for a year and a half.
Wow. Yeah, I'm in Minnesota, and
Yes.
the kids were in school for the most part of the 2021. They were wearing masks, but they still had the luxury of going to school. And so I'm hoping by the time people hear this, they have the same blessing of having their kids go back to school.
Yeah.
So Jane, before I wrap things up, I have to ask you my last question. What is your favorite dinosaur?
The T-Rex.
And why T-Rex?
One, because I can spell it, the shortened version. That's number one. And number two, because they're just so cute with their little short arms.
It's a good thing they're not around to take affront to that. So yes. It's a whole balancing thing,
But don't they eat plants?
Oh no.
T-Rex?
No.
Oh.
They're
yeah.
Yeah, Tyrannosaurus Rex is Latin for terrible lizard. They're one of one of the fiercest hunters in dinosaur land.
But they're so cute.
I guess that's how they're drawn. But yes, the arms are cute. but I heard I heard someone say once that even the tiny T-Rex arm could curl 450 pounds.
Wow. Okay. I'm not sure I realized that. So I could definitely be a good lunch.
Yeah, so just make sure you zig and zag a lot, I guess. While you're saying,
Oh.
you're still cute, I still love you.
Well, and I am a runner, but I don't run as fast as you. So I should probably train a little harder.
That's all. Yeah, that's all. We're all training for the dinosaur resurgence, you know. So, well, Jane, I absolutely love you. I love your story. Not all that happened to you, but the courage that you have to share it, and especially the ability that you have to find the gratitude in it. Because, like you said, there are nuggets of beauty in tragedy,
Yes.
and the ability to find those nuggets is a gift. And I applaud you for having that gift and for sharing it with others so they can develop that gift themselves.
Well, thank you, Chris. And I applaud you as well in finding all the gifts in your story.
Thank you very much. So folks, Jane's contact information is in the show notes below. If you want to reach out to me, you can find me at chrisdtgordon.com. You can also find me at the YouTube channel, Chris DT Gordon, or Scar Bears, the podcast, on all the podcast places. Reach out to me at chrisdtgordon.com if you want to start a conversation so I can help your young people overcome their personal bacteria, increase their positivity and gratitude, and make the world around them a better place. Please like, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff. You know, it helps share the story, like Jane's, that people need to hear so they can live their best life. Thank you very much for joining me today. Please have a great day, and remember to pass on perfection and go for greatness.